Okay, and we are estimating with two-digit divisors. You can follow along in your Go Math book and 2.5, which is page 79 to 80. Okay, so you can connect what we've learned about factors of 10 when you're multiplying and dividing and finding the patterns. So 35 divided by 5 equals 7. If I up both of those by a factor of 10, so 350 divided by 50, I still get 7. But if I up only one by a factor of 10, the dividend, my quotient is now larger by a factor of 10. And same thing for 35,000 divided by 50. Okay, we're going to talk about the Willis Towers observation deck and estimating for that. This is a picture of its observation deck. You willing to try it? Okay, the observation deck of the Willis Tower in Chicago, Illinois is 1,353 feet above the ground. Elevators lift visitors to that level in 60 seconds. About how many feet do the elevators travel per second? So we're going to estimate this in two ways. And we're going to use compatible numbers both times. That way it's using compatible numbers so that it's close without having to use exact, but we can also easily do mental math with those numbers. So if you see step one, it's estimated 1,353 to 1,200. And it kept 60 at 60 because that's, I can divide, I know that 12 divided by 6 is 2. So 1,200 divided by 60 is 20. And then I estimated it to a little larger number, but yet still easily to divide by 60. 1,800 divided by 60 would give me 30. And our next page will go over that a little bit more, breaking it down. Okay, so if we're using the patterns, we know that 12 divided by 6 is 2. 120 divided by 60 is still 2. So 1,200 divided by 60 is 20. We go over to the other estimate. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 180 divided by 60 is still 3. So 1,800 divided by 60 is 30. So it gives us a range. So the elevators travel about 20 to 30 feet per second. So that way, when you do the actual division and you get a decimal, which is your remainder, you will know that it should fall within 20 to 30 to be a reasonable answer. So if you got 22.4, that's reasonable. But if you got 37, that is not a reasonable answer with the real numbers. Okay, so the more reasonable estimate is 20 because 1,200 is closer to 1,353 than 1,800 is. So the observation deck elevators in the Willis Tower travel about 20 feet per second. Okay, here's another example. Miriam has saved $650 to spend during her 18-day trip to Chicago. She doesn't want to run out of money before the trip is over, so she plans to spend about the same money each day. Estimate how much she can spend each day. So We're estimating 650 divided by 18. So first I use 600 because that is close to 650. And I'm going to divide it by 20 to give me $30. So I estimated a little lower and I could spend $30 each day. If I decide to estimate it a little higher at 800 and divide that by 20 days, spend 40 each day. So Miriam can spend about $30 to $40 each day. So would it be more reasonable to have an estimate or an exact answer for this example? Explain your reasoning and pause the video to discuss with the teacher. Okay. Now that you've discussed that, here is this question to discuss. Given Miriam's situation, which estimate do you think is better one for her to use? Explain your reasoning. You're going to pause the video. Okay, now that you've unpaused it and you've back, Miriam's estimate, you should go with the lower number. That way you don't run out of money. When dealing with money, you always want to estimate on the more conservative side so you don't run out. Okay, so in your notebooks or in your Go Math book, on page 80, I want you to find two estimates for these numbers. Go ahead and pause the video while you try these two on your own. Okay, so let's see if we came up with something similar. 415 divided by 52. 400 divided by 50 equals 8. 500 divided by 50 equals 10. So my estimate, my real number, should fall in between 8 and 10 to be reasonable with my estimates. Okay, 2,764 divided by 38. I chose to do 3,500 divided by 35 because 38 is close to 5, and I know that 3,500 is, easy to do with 35, which gives me 100. And then I estimated it at 2,000 divided by 40 to give me 50. I have one higher, one lower, so my answer will still fall within that range. Did you get the same answer? No, maybe not. And that may be okay. Since we use compatible numbers, not everybody's going to use the exact numbers, but they should have kind of a similar range. Okay, and that is in for the estimating quotients. So go ahead and move on to your next lesson part.